What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here, and ladies and gentlemen, Michigan basketball, Dusty May just got some great news this morning, as it is now final. Yaxel Lendeborg will be playing in a maize and blue uniform next season for the Wolverines. That is right, he has officially withdrawn from the NBA draft. As it was reported this morning, he will be withdrawing from the NBA draft and will play for Dusty May in Michigan next season, as Yaxel Lendeborg, the #1 ranked player in the transfer portal, who was considered a first-round draft pick but wanted a guarantee, and also said he would like to go in the top 20, although obviously it doesn't appear he got what he wanted, and instead he's coming to play another season of college basketball with Michigan. And right away, Michigan basketball, a national title contender now, with Yaxel Lendeborg officially announcing he will play for Michigan next season. This is a guy that averaged 17.7 points, 11.4 rebounds, and 4.2 assists this past season with UAB. Had a 52.2% field goal percentage, 35.7% from three, a 75% free throw shooter, and also had 1.8 blocks and 1.7 steals per game as well. A 6'9", 240 forward. And I tell you what, Dusty May, playing the waiting game with Lendeborg, it completely worked out for him. Obviously, may have been, looked at as potentially a risk, but Dusty May had already said that, he was content with the roster as it was, even without Lendeborg on the team next season. But obviously they wanted to go out and get somebody that would just take him to that next level, and Lendeborg was that guy, and they played the waiting game with him, and it worked out for him. So if you thought Michigan basketball had a great season this past season, with Yaxel Lendeborg now and one of the top transfer portal classes coming in for the Wolverines, not to mention some talented freshmen coming in, highlighted by the 5-star guard Trey McKinney, an in-state recruit, watch out for this next upcoming season for Michigan basketball. And Lendeborg wasn't the only transfer portal player that they added through the transfer portal. They also got the UCLA center Adai Mara, also the Illinois forward Merez Johnson Jr., as those were also a couple new front court additions for the Wolverines after losing both Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. And Dusty May and company went out right away and replaced them with some very talented players, including the #1 transfer portal player Yaxel Lendeborg from UAB. Michigan also got the North Carolina guard Elliot Cadeau from the transfer portal, but I just cannot say enough of how huge this is for Michigan basketball. And going into next season, Michigan's going to be a top 10 team with Yaxel Lendeborg in the lineup now. I mean, this is a team that many people could potentially pick Michigan to win it all now, because he is that type of player. He's that type of player that can come in and take Michigan to that next level and take them to those national title heights. And Lendeborg, already discussed, a couple weeks ago about his decision coming up and how it was, 50-50 and really even. He even did say at one point that he was leaning towards Michigan 60-40, but then went back after, the scrimmage in the NBA draft combine, and he later said that he was just dead even. It was a tough decision, but you could clearly tell he really loved Michigan. He went on a visit, loved everything about it, loved everything about Dusty May, and now he'll be getting a nice, some nice NIL compensation while at Michigan. And I tell you what, there were a lot of people that doubted Yaxel Lendeborg coming to Michigan, but we told you the odds. We told you how much he loved Michigan and how, going to Michigan would help him and how it would still be a great option for him. So I know some of you guys doubted Yaxel Lendeborg coming to Michigan and playing one more season of college basketball, but you can go ahead and celebrate now, because he is coming back and he will be playing in a maize and blue uniform this upcoming season, or next season for Michigan basketball. And Lendeborg, speaking on Michigan and Dusty May, he said, "I was a fan of Dusty since he was at FAU. I've been a big fan from the jump. He was expressing to me that he was willing to wait while I go through this NBA combine process, and other teams weren't saying the same thing. Instead, they were trying to outbid the NBA, and I wasn't messing with that." And he said, "I wanted a school that was going to rock with me from the beginning to the end, and that was Dusty in Michigan." Now, there's also already a blueprint for Lendeborg to follow to Michigan, as obviously they had Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden with their 4-5 pick and roll last season. Obviously, Michigan doesn't have two 7-footers anymore, but I tell you what, with Adai Mara, Marez Johnson, and Yaxel Lendeborg, it's as close as they probably could have gotten. And he did say that it was 100% the biggest influence, to be honest, other than my respect for Dusty May, as he said, of watching how Michigan used the 7-footer out of Danny Wolf. He said, I loved how they used Vlad and him together. That's always a role that I wanted to play as well, coming off ball screens, being able to make that read. That's something I always wanted to be a part of. And he did say, speaking on the front court, I feel like we'll be amazing coming off the pick and rolls. I can hit Marez. I know he's a big time athlete. And then Adai, I haven't seen much of him. I did my research though, but 7-2 is pretty much the same thing you can do with that. And hopefully we can build a quick chemistry and do what we can to win as many games for Michigan. So again, this was a long, drawn out, much anticipated decision from Yaxel Lendeborg, but in the end, it was worth the wait for not only Dusty May, but Michigan basketball fans as well. I mean, just so much anticipation. Kind of reminds you of the Bryce Underwood situation with Michigan football in the 2025 recruiting class. Not many people thought that Michigan would be able to do it and flip him, but in the end, they did it. And despite the NBA being a huge threat to Michigan, the Wolverines prevail in the end. And obviously, again, he didn't probably get that top 20 guarantee that he was looking for. And obviously, we said it, Michigan, it's a great fallback plan if he didn't get that guarantee, and that's exactly what happened. It wasn't like Lendeborg didn't impress at the NBA Combine this month either. He had great measurements, also dropped 13 points with 9 rebounds, 2 assists in his first scrimmage. Also worked out with multiple NBA teams on an individual basis. But for him, now he's got that experience though, and one more season at the college level playing with Dusty May in Michigan cannot hurt him, and should only raise his draft stock going into next season or next year's NBA draft. And he's got a chance to do some special things here at Michigan, and you already know he knows that. Not only as the team awards, but also individually as well. I mean, this is a guy that's gonna be one of potentially the best players in college basketball next season with Michigan, especially with Dusty May as his head coach and how he uses him in the offense. And he also has a chance to lead Michigan now to a Final Four appearance and potentially compete for a national championship next season. So very exciting times here for Michigan basketball as they got their guy. Yaxel Lendeborg withdraws from the NBA draft and will play for Michigan basketball in the 2025 through 2026 season. Absolutely cannot wait. But with that, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to go ahead, drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more if you are new around here. I greatly appreciate it, and we will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue.